This place is looking so cool. Check this out. Every room is insulated from each other, isolated from each other with soundboard, then drywall. The entire ceiling is suspended with these hat channels and ISO clips and then 2 layers of drywall. Whoa. I don't think I'm supposed to stand on that. I'm gonna have to do a tour of this place as soon as maybe they finish all the walls, which should be next week. So maybe like in a week and a half, let's do a tour of this place so you can see what it's looking like. This seems like as good a room as any to shoot in. This is gonna be my stream room. So there's gonna be a lot of videos in here. It's just not gonna look like this. TikTok's kind of weird. Is that fair to say? TikTok's a little weird. Like it just seems like everyone's so angry over there. I made a TikTok this week in light of the Twitch leaks, talking about something that not a lot of people have spoken about. I also posted it as a short on my personal channel where I live stream at. If you haven't seen my live streams, link down in the description below. But I noticed something interesting about the Twitch leaks, which was that I wanted to see how far down the list you could go before someone was not making the national average income, the American average income, which I got to almost number 2,000. At number, I believe it was 1979, people started making below the average American income, which then I got a lot of angry people saying, well, why did you use the average American income? It's skewed by the billionaires. You should have used the median income. This is not accurate. And you know, that's fair. So I went to the median American income. The average was 52,000, right? So at number 1979, the person made beneath $104,000 because the leak was for 2 years of income. The median income, which if we want to be more fair, that makes sense, kind of gets rid of the billionaires off this. They don't destroy the curve, is what I'm trying to say. The median income is about $31,000 for an individual, which is an average of $15 an hour, 40-hour work weeks. That makes $31,000 a year. Still, using the American median income, we didn't get to even number 3,500 before people were making less than that. I'm not going to show the list. I'm not trying to expose anyone's income here. I'm just trying to expose the point that if you're trying to be a Twitch streamer, not just for fun, if you're doing it for fun, I don't know why you're watching these videos, it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to make it into a career, that only 0.04% of all the Twitch streamers end up getting above $15 an hour. Like generally when you hear people using an argument over what a livable wage is, $15 an hour is the one that comes up, and only 0.04% of streamers are making that. And if I can speak here, heart to heart with you guys for just a moment, I really thought I was doing you guys a favor here. This wasn't biased information at all. It wasn't even my opinion. It was just, it's important to know that this is how few people actually make a living on Twitch, and people kind of raged. The biggest pushback I got was that this was not a fair assessment. Most of these streamers are also getting sponsorship money. That's where the majority of their income is, which is what I want to talk with you about today. Let's give some general numbers, just because there's no science to it, about how much a streamer could expect to make and how that affects this list and how much these people in the median American income, how much maybe it changes that number. Because there are 3 main factors that go into how much you can make in a sponsorship. Let's talk about number 1. Most important thing on this list. What kind of content are you making? For example, number 3,500, that was making about $31,000 a year. I looked up that streamer, number 3,500, who's making $31,000 a month, the median income. Looked him up on Twitch Tracker to see what their general stats were in his stream, and they had an average of 200 viewers, which is really great for Twitch. That puts you in the top 1.1% on the platform. The biggest factor that's going to adjust this person's sponsorship amount is going to be what other kinds of content do they make. Is this person a Twitch purist, someone who only streams on Twitch and has been on the grind for years up until they got the 200 viewers? Or do they also have a YouTube channel where they've grown quite a bit and brought that following over to Twitch? Do they have a TikTok account? Do they have a good Twitter following or Instagram following? Because I know when I had 200 viewers on Twitch, I had around 20 to 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. And that's probably around the time I started getting my first brand deals on my YouTube videos. And the reason I was getting sponsorships on YouTube is because YouTube is so much more profitable for sponsors. Let's talk about why. Let's put some numbers on the screen here. By the time I left Twitch about 6 months ago, I was streaming for anywhere from 900 to 1,000 viewers on average. And my YouTube channel had about 550,000 subscribers. And my videos would get, within the first 24 hours, about 40,000 views. If someone were to sponsor one of my Twitch streams and they wanted me to do a 10 to 15 minute ad bit, maybe because they wanted to get as much exposure as possible, maybe they had me do it 3 times throughout the stream at an hour intervals, right? So we're getting as much of an audience as we can. If I'm streaming for 1,000 people, I do it 3 times. There's gonna be some overlap there. It's not like we're gonna get 3,000 people seeing it. We're probably gonna get about 2,000 individuals seeing this sponsorship. And then it goes into a VOD, which doesn't really get viewed, at least not enough for a sponsor to really count on. So that ad is going to get about 2,000 impressions, and that's maybe about where it's gonna end. Now, not every impression is equal. Those impressions are gonna be pretty solid, right? Those people watching my live stream are pretty dedicated, but there are some problems along the way, right? Like, where do I put the link? I could put it in the chat, I could have a bot put it, or I could paste it in the chat. But for the most part, you're asking viewers to leave your live stream, which is really hard to convince people to do. You can put it in a panel down in the description so they can check it out later, but nobody really checks out Twitch panels, at least a very small minority do. So while the impressions might be strong, I would venture to say the click-through is not gonna be that much higher than any other platform. And then of course, the main issue is that it gets 2,000 impressions and then really doesn't get any more impressions ever again. It's stuck at that number. Whereas if we look on YouTube, right out of the gate, within the first 24 hours, this channel will get anywhere from 30 to 40,000 views on average. That is already 15 to 20 times more than we got in the live stream on Twitch. And not only are the initial impressions going to be strong, but if you have a channel where people continue to watch after the fact, maybe you have evergreen content like we do on this channel with tutorials and gear reviews that people watch over a long period of time, it's always relevant. Well, we have some videos on this channel that still from years ago get a couple thousand views a month. Those sponsorships that live on those videos are still getting views. There are so many reasons to diversifying your content, and more importantly, there is a reason why all the big TikTokers are also trying to move over to YouTube. There is so much more money to be made on YouTube because there is more influence, there is more engagement. Because see, I did a video response to one of these TikToks and I talked about this, and I said that on average I make maybe $20,000 in sponsorships a month on the YouTube channel, and on Twitch, I believe I've only done a total over the 3 years that I was like full-time on Twitch. I think I only made about $2,000. The bottom line is most of the streamers on this Twitch leak, even the ones just 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 down on the list that have 200 viewers, they're not making significant money on sponsorships because no company's gonna pay good money for 200 people to see an ad and then never get seen again. Please diversify your content, not just for the sake of growth, but for the sake of monetization. You need to make a living doing this if you're trying to make it a career. There's nothing wrong with getting that bag. I hope you get that bag. Diversify your content. Let's talk about number 2, because metrics and engagement on your content is not the only factor here. Another one is how much actual influence do you have over people's purchases? Because that's what an advertisement is doing at the end of the day, trying to encourage people to buy something. When talking about influence and how they can affect sponsorships, I like to use this example. If Shroud and I were both sponsored by Logitech, right? And by the way, if you're not familiar with Shroud, he's notoriously one of the best FPS gamers in the world. If he was sponsored by Logitech to advertise their mouse, and I was sponsored by HyperX to advertise their mouse, which one of us do you think is gonna sell more mice? Mouses? Is the plural of computer mouse also mice? I feel like it is. We're gonna say mice. Guys, I'm not terrible at games. Like I'm pretty average. I might even be a tiny bit above average.
Are you sure about that?
Nobody's gonna take my recommendation on a mouse. You're going to look towards the person who pushes that piece of equipment to its extreme and knows it better than anybody. And face it, a lot of you guys are gonna say if it's good enough for Shroud, it's good enough for me. And I think that rings true. However, if we were to flip this in the opposite direction, and this isn't gonna prove the point very well because Shroud is a phenomenal creator and has got way more reach than I do, but let's go with it anyway, because I still think it proves a point. If we were to talk about audio interfaces and Shroud were to advertise this brand new USB microphone and I were to advertise this USB microphone, even though Shroud pulls in way more numbers than I do, I'm gonna have a little bit more influence over that space because that's the reason you guys come here. That's the opinion you guys are looking for. So if you're trying to turn your content into a business, That's something to be aware of. How much pull do you have in an area? How much value does your content bring to your viewers? How much influence do you have over the people who watch you? Because you can get a sponsorship without that kind of hardcore influence. I've seen massive gamers get sponsorships by VPNs and stuff all the time, stuff that's not perfectly related. However, the sponsorship is going to lower the rate because they're not paying for an influence anymore. What they're basically doing is paying for a massive name recognition and exposure kind of sponsorship. Which brings us to the last question, something I wanted to address relatively quickly, which is, how do I get these sponsorships? Let me share with you my personal experience on this and kind of my mantra in this situation. Usually when we talk about sponsorships like this on stream, agents and agencies management comes up and people ask, how do I get my own agent? My agent, Amber Howard, is responsible for a large portion of the income that I bring in. I've been represented throughout my career by 4 different agencies. Grape Story was the first one, which was, I believe, co-founded by Gary Vee. WME was my first big agency when I was doing music with my wife. I've been represented by Abrams, which is when I was signed by Amber, and then she moved over to Talent X and still represents me there. I didn't reach out to any of these companies. In fact, I've never been signed by a company that I've reached out to. I've only reached out to one, and they gave me a big fat no. This aspect of the industry is very easy to get caught up in and very easy to get distracted by. Being signed by an agent or sometimes joining an org for a lot of you gamers gives that sense of recognition, validation, right? Someone else recognizes your talent and your hard work. But lots of times if you jump in too early, that's all you end up getting out of it. You won't make any money. You just got the validation you were looking for by getting signed, and all those emails you sent out to orgs and agencies was just a waste of time and a distraction from the content. These agencies all reached out to me, even some of them when I was still pretty small. I want to say Abrams signed me when I had maybe 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, but they signed me because of the content I was making. My mantra has always been, focus on the content. Focus on becoming as marketable and as influential as you possibly can, and as soon as you're ready to be signed, they'll start reaching out to you. In general, and this is a big generalization, it's not always true, but if you are spending time reaching out to agencies and they're not reaching out to you, it might be a little too early for you. And if one of them says yes, they're probably not going to make you any money. So take what you will with that, go out and make some money. I've talked a lot about money on this channel because this channel is about taking your content, taking your streams, and turning it into a career. And it's not a career if you don't make money. So we need to talk about money on this channel. But only on a few rare occasions have I made it about me and about the money I've made. I'm posting a video pretty soon here. I've been very fortunate in this industry. I've had a couple ideas do really well business-wise, and a video I've been meaning to do for a while is how I spent my first $1 million. Realistically, it should be how I've made my only $1 million, because that's about as far as we go. But what I've decided to do with my money has really defined my career, and I'd like to talk more about it. I'm going to do that video on my personal channel, youtube.com/HarrisHeller. If you're not subscribed, please do so down below. It's where I post shorts, videos, and live stream. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit me up with any questions you have in my live streams. Again, same Harris Heller YouTube channel, and as always, happy streaming.